not very formal most of the time. And occasionally I forget where I am. So if I drop an F-bomb today, if I say a naughty word, I'm just gonna say I'm sorry now, because it's probably gonna happen. It's just who I am. It's how I grew up. It's the culture I grew up in, the culture I live in still in some ways. So when Dr. Lang asked me to start talking or talk about this idea of presence, I misunderstood him. I thought I was just gonna give you guys a gift, and I'd be done, it'd be easy. Wrong. And then I started thinking about presence, and what does it mean? What does it mean to the average college professor? What does it mean to the average college student? And can you have presence in multiple dimensions? So for a lot of people, when we start talking about being present in multiple places, trying to do more than one thing at once, we think of the idea of multitasking. How many, raise your hand in here if you think you can multitask? Yeah, all right? So the science says none of you can. About 0.1% of people can actually multitask. What the rest of us do, including myself, is we switch back and forth very, very quickly. We're not actually multitasking. We're not doing two things at once, we're moving back and forth. And that back and forth actually allows us to do multiple things, but allows us to do multiple things badly. So the idea of multitasking, it just isn't true. Now, you might not believe me, but I can prove it to you. I can say all of you have either witnessed this, have done this, or will do it in your lifetime. You're driving along in your car. Music's loud, because we like loud music. And you're lost, or you're looking for somewhere. What's the first thing you do when you're trying to figure out where you are? Turn the music down. Why? Because I can't pay attention to two things at once. I can't be present in the music and be paying attention to where I'm going. Have you ever been there? Someone just introduced you, they're like, hi, I'm Greg. You're talking to them, and 2 seconds later, you've forgotten what the heck their name was. Happens to me all the time. Because I've started thinking about what I'm gonna say instead of listening to what they're gonna say. I wasn't present in the moment. Have you ever driven somewhere? And all of a sudden you're 10, 15, 20 miles down the road, and you're like, shit, how'd I get here? Did I run a stop sign? Everybody okay? A lot of people have done that. It happens. You're not present in two places at one time. You're somewhere else in your brain. So if we can all go with this premise that almost everyone in the world can't multitask, they can't be present in more than one place, then what? What happens when you have to? And as a college professor, do I really have to multitask? Do I really have to be present in more than one place? The answer is no. Right? I sit in the classroom, I talk to you guys about stuff, I grade papers, the phone might ring, I just stop grading papers, I put them down, I answer the phone. No big deal. But the reality is, this is who I really am. All right? For a long time, before I was a college professor, or along when I was a college professor, I've been a paramedic now longer than any of the students in here have been alive. I've been a police officer as long, just about as long. I've worn all of these different uniforms. These are all pictures of me somewhere along the line or another. I still work as both a paramedic and police officer. I really enjoy that work. All right? And in that line of work, I have to be present in multiple places at the same time. There's no excuse not to be. I have to be. But I also said I can't. So what happens then? I don't know if you can see it, but it's a group of people all trying to look at something. And almost everyone is looking at that moment through their cell phone. They're present in their cell phone. There's one person, this young lady right here in the middle, who's really present in that moment. And if you look at their faces, who is actually happy and content in that moment? She's the only one. The guy over here on the left, he's grumpy. He's trying to fix his phone. These people are excited. She's staring at her phone. They're not actually present. They're present somewhere else. They're not truly appreciating that moment. When I'm working as a paramedic, say your loved one has had some kind of medical illness, some kind of emergency. You call 911. I come to your house. Where should my focus be? Who should I be focused on?
patient.
My patient. Right? That's what most people would say. That's why you call 911, so I can come take care of this person. The reality is, it's a tiny percentage of where my focus is. Up on the screen now are some of the scenarios from the National Training Board for EMS. And it's probably too small to see in the back of the classroom. But all of these scenarios, all of these check sheets, the thing that we're supposed to do as EMS providers, all start with scene safety, managing the scene, figuring out what happened, looking around, stabilizing what's going on, making sure I'm safe. There's a whole section on each of these before patient assessment even starts. And even before that, I've had to drive to this house, often with lights and sirens. So am I thinking about the patient on the way there? Am I getting ready for this patient? No. I'm trying to look out for people who are driving crazy. Well, I'm driving a little bit crazy. All right, safely, but everyone else thinks I'm driving crazy. So when I'm on scene with a patient, I have to think about scene safety. And it's not just a check in the box. It's not just a check in the box. Okay, scene safe, now I can focus on patient. And I'll give you an example from my career. By the way, any of you guys know me, know I will consume hot tea at all times. It just is what it is, so sorry. But I'll give you an example from my career. I was working EMS on the Edgecombe County side of Rocky Mountain in about 1998 or 99. Shut up, I know I'm old. All right, I know all the guys before that. It was about 2, 3 in the morning. It was sometime in the middle of the night. And we got called to a shooting. Single patient, multiple gunshot wounds to the chest, laying in the middle of the street. All right, we get there. Look around, bunch of police officers. Sweet. They should have the scene under control. There's what I like to call sometimes the uh-oh gang. You know, something's going on in the neighborhood. Oh, let me go see what's going on. You know, everybody kind of shows up and wants to see. And then when they see something bad, they're like, oh, I didn't want to see that. So there's a bunch of people standing around. There's a victim lying on the ground, multiple gunshot wounds to the chest, still alive. Struggling, probably gonna die, maybe-ish, but alive. So we start taking care of this patient. And I lost perspective. I forgot about the scene size. I forgot about safety. I was in one place. I was taking care of that patient. And somebody asked me, they said, is this guy gonna be okay? And I gave the answer that I always give the EMS. I'm doing everything we can, or we're doing everything we can. Because I can't promise you whether this person's gonna live or die. I'm doing everything I can for them. Hopefully that's comforting. Hopefully that allows me to continue working. And I remember this person's voice changing. And it said, no, he's not. He reaches over my shoulder with a handgun, shoots him twice more. I was gone. All right, I'll tell you the rest of my memory from about the next 30 seconds. The next thing I remember after our 2 gunshots was me putting the ambulance in drive and driving away. I have no recollection of running away. I have no recollection of starting the ambulance. I have no recollection of my partner even getting in the ambulance. They did, but I probably would have left it. All right, I was gone. Scene was not safe. All right. Also, I can very clearly remember the impact of those 2 bullets, and this patient was no longer going to survive. No reason for me to be there anymore. All right? So since that day, I've always focused, and I know I've had to focus my experiences where I am on more than one thing. So now I'm not just thinking about the patient. I'm not just thinking about what's going on. Sometimes there's a family member who's very upset that their 4-year-old child is not breathing. And they're yelling and screaming and freaking out. Absolutely, I completely expect them to be. But do I also expect them to be rational at that point in time? No. So I'm having to split my attention between that person who's screaming over my shoulder about their child who's gravely ill, and what's going on around me, and this patient. So how does it make you feel when I tell you that when I'm working as a paramedic, you got about a quarter of my attention? Right? And that's the reality of it though. People don't see it that way, but that's the reality of it. That's the way things have to happen. And I'll give you another example. Car accident scene. This is not me, just a random picture I found on the internet, but I have been at more than one scene like this. So motor vehicle accident out on the highway. Vehicle struck the middle, obviously at a high rate of speed, had been on fire. There is a living patient. I pulled this off of a video. There's a living patient that you can hear screaming in this car. If I'm one of those firefighters or paramedics up on top of the car trying to get this patient out, what do I need to be thinking about? Where's my attention split? What planes am I in? My patient who's stuck in here. My own safety, and let's talk about my own safety here. If you look at this, there's foam on the ground. That means the firefighters have put out a fire. All right, that car is hot, it's sharp. It's sitting next to a highway with other cars going by 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. Trust me, I'm a police officer. I've seen all of you guys drive that fast. All right? My safety. So what am I really thinking about here? Thinking about all these things. And it's impossible to do that. You get distracted, right? And if you really look at this picture, you'll notice there's two cars here. There's a gray car and a blue car. And if I was focused, tunnel vision on the patient in that gray car, did you notice there was a blue car there? Did you notice there's a car seat in that blue car in the back seat? Could have missed that. So being present in multiple planes has to happen, but it doesn't. It can't. It creates all kinds of things, including mistakes sometimes. Another example. This is what happened when somebody else wasn't present in the moment. This ambulance, this fire truck were pulled over on the side of a highway. Lights flashing. Car on fire in front of them. Dump truck ran smack into the back of that ambulance. I actually watched it happen one time. Not too far from here. It's been about a decade. I was coming to work early in the morning. If anybody's here on the swim team, they know I'm usually here at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. It was dark out. There was an ambulance parked in the road, but on the side of the road. Back doors were open, means the interior lights were on. Back lights were flashing. Ambulance crew inside the house. You could tell because the stretcher was inside the house. Or I can tell, paramedic. I watched a car run into the back of that ambulance at 35 miles an hour, never hit the brakes. So I stopped, try to help, that's what I do. Started talking to this woman, she wasn't hurt, destroyed a car, destroyed this ambulance. And what she said was, can't believe I hit that. It pulled out of nowhere. I never saw it. And in her brain, she never saw it. She was in a different plane. She was not paying attention to driving. And we could not convince this woman that she hit an ambulance sitting still. So this idea of being in multiple presences is difficult, but we have to do it. Another example of me losing sight and not being present. I was at a call in Southeast Raleigh in a really nice old house that was no longer in the nicest of neighborhoods. And it was a drug overdose call. They happy, no big deal. Be happy to take care of you, whatever your problem is. Thought we had this scene under control. I knew where I was, I had my back to the door, knew where the exit was from there, no one was behind me. All of a sudden, the guy taps me on the shoulder. I about defecated myself because I knew no one was there. I looked back, there was a hidden bookcase, a bookcase door that we all want to have in our house because it'd be really cool, that had opened up, and that's where this person had come from. I looked in there, and there was a bunch of really colorful lights growing some really nice ornamental plants. All right? That's why it was hidden. They didn't want anyone to get their hostas or whatever plants they were on. All right? So I lost presence, and if that person wanted to harm me, they could have. So again, I was reminded to be present in the moment. Not too long ago in Nightdale, a law enforcement officer lost his life because someone wasn't present in the moment and ran into the back of his car and killed him. It happens. When I'm working in law enforcement, more law enforcement officers die in motor vehicle accidents, almost all of them being hit on the side of the road, than die from any other reason. Because people aren't paying attention, which means I have to pay attention. Which means that when I pull someone over on the side of the road, I'm thinking about a lot of things. So when I get up to your car, and I might seem a little tense or a little grumpy, it's because that guy, I could feel the wind from their car go by me at 80 miles an hour while I'm standing beside the road. In between, that was kind of cool. In between the road and, it's magnetic. In between the road and your car, the car was in between that, in that gap. And I just lost where I was because I wasn't present. I was thinking about the microphone. So when I pull someone over, I'm thinking about, okay, why did I pull them over? What am I going to say to them? Is it safe to get out of my car? Are the people around me being safe? Does this person want to harm me? Because believe it or not, there are people out there who really don't like police officers. Surprising. So I'm trying to be present in all these moments, and it's difficult. I can't. So if I have to pick a single presence, whose viewpoint is the most important? Should I be thinking about myself? That family member wants me to be thinking about their family member, the patient. My wife wants me to be thinking about myself. My children, if I had any, I don't, yay. They would want me to be thinking about myself. I don't know, they might have my life insurance money, who knows? All right? Am I thinking about the safety of my partner? My brothers and sisters in law enforcement? My family members? I consider everyone I work with to be my family. Many of them are closer to me than my family because I spend more time with them than I do my own family. And I'm looking out for their safety as well. So I'm looking out for my safety, looking out for their safety, looking out for everyone else's safety, and I gotta take care of a patient. It's difficult to do. So again, who am I really thinking about? Who's important here? And then we start talking about our careers in law enforcement, our careers in EMS, our careers in whatever. I start thinking about how difficult it is to do this, how difficult it is to work under these pressures, these constantly changing environments. And I was trying to compare it to sports. Basketball, somebody shooting a last second shot to try to win the game. Football, American football, somebody's trying to kick that field goal from 50 something yards to win the game at the last second. There's a lot of pressure on that person, right? You ever seen them choke? It happens, right? Good people in the moment, their brain leaves their foot kicking the ball or their hand shooting that because they're focused on the pressure of something else. What happens to that person at the end of the day if they miss? Some people make fun of them. Do they almost always keep their job? Yeah. Do they still get paid a whole lot of money to play the next game? Almost all the time. What happens if I choke? They got to make a mistake. What happens if I choke? I die. Someone else dies. I kill someone. How many mistakes do I get to make in my career? Zero. Zero. Has that become even more highlighted in society over the past 5 or 6 years, especially in law enforcement? Yeah. Does that stick with me as I'm interacting with the public? Yeah. Does it give me one more thing to think about instead of what I really should be focusing on? It does. It's difficult. So at the end of the day, knowing that I have split my focus while I'm taking care of a critically ill patient, how does that make me feel when they pass away, when they die? And this is a painting of a picture, the best example of it. It's an ambulance that's obviously been thoroughly used. Paramedics sitting there, head down, sad. I tried. I did my best. I really tried. I have been that person more than one time in my career. But I also know, did I really try? Did I focus everything on that patient? The answer is no. So I have to live with the ghosts that stand all around this ambulance. That I tried, but maybe I didn't try hard enough because I couldn't be present in more than one place. And that will stick with me for the rest of my life. And I want to say one more thing about this, because I love being a paramedic. I love being a police officer. I like teaching, right? It says Dr. Bauer on my cup. All impressive or something, I don't know, I don't care. But who am I really? I'm really this law enforcement guy. I'm really the paramedic. That's who I am first. I'm more comfortable as a police officer and a paramedic than I am an instructor, as a teacher. I love helping people. I really do. And at the end of the day, I have chosen for the rest of my life to split my attention. I will never once fully enjoy and fully be present at a fancy dinner with my wife. I will never once fully be present and enjoy the food. Because when you go into a restaurant, you go sit down. Most people sit down, they're like, oh, this is a nice table or a nice booth. And they look at the menu and they're thinking about the menu. And they're enjoying the food. They're having some wine or a beer or whatever, adult beverage. They're enjoying the conversation. When I walk into that restaurant, they say, is this table okay? And I say, nope. I need a table near an exit with my back to a wall. Because I want to see every single person who comes in here. I want to see if they're a threat to me. I want to see if I've interacted with them in a law enforcement role. I want to see their hands. I want to see their waist to look for weapons. I want to see their face. And every time someone walks in that restaurant, I stop what I'm doing and I look at that person. And I run them through my memory. I run their body language, their intentions through my head. And then I go back to what I was doing. So I'm never fully there. I'm never fully present with my wife. It bugs her a little bit. Bugs me a lot. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I am more than happy and grateful that I can give up my presence with my wife so most people don't have to. And that's it. Thanks.